zoomed in.
He's got the home office.
He's setting it up right now.
Is he wearing the suit pants? So that's the question.
Can he hear us right now?
Oh, I think he can hear us.
He got it.
Yeah, Dave.
Dave, let's pop him up.
Matt 10, you got shorts on?
Yeah, are you going to a funeral? Well, where are you going?
Funeral?
Yeah, or you're opening up a bank account. You're like very rarely does somebody suit and boot to zoom in with us, Dave.
That's an Eagles green tie. I know my man.
I know my man. You got it, Chris. No, I mean, come on. I didn't know I'd be mocked for actually trying to be presentable for your program.
We're casual around these parts, Dave.
I don't know. No. I do not mock people for being properly Natalie attired, sir. I mean, never would do that. I'm a little taken aback. You know what I mean?
I have an extensive quarter zip collection. If you want me to switch
No. I'm not uncomfortable. I thought the NBA way to do it is like you should now dress instead of like you just dress like you're going on an airplane ride. That's what all the coaches do now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, it used to say dress for the job you want, and I guess I don't fit any NBA job the way I'm dressing these days.
Except ESPN NBA reporter Dave McMenamin back here on the Rich Eisen Show Radio Network. Dave McMenamin of ESPN joining us here right now. All right, you've been around tons of big nights in the home of the Los Angeles Lakers. Where does last night's rank, Dave?
It met the moment. The Lakers organization kind of recognized that last week their introductory news conference with Luka was not something that had the pomp and circumstance of, say, when the Miami Heat traded for Shaquille O'Neal. He gets to the arena an 18-wheeler with a super soaker. There wasn't like the celebratory feel because Luka was still processing what happened. He was taken aback, obviously, by the trade. He thought he was going to retire a member of the Dallas Mavericks. And so about a week passed between their introductory news conference and Monday night at Crypto.com, and it was the right time to kind of pull out the bells and whistles. There was 18,997 number 77 Laker gold Luka Doncic t-shirts on the seats. They were playing Serbian music to make him feel right at home on the court during the pregame warm-ups. And LeBron James did a very cool gesture, reached out to Luka in the day, Monday morning, and said, hey, however you want to do pregame introductions, I'm with. Whoever you want to do it, it's cool by me. And Luka said, yeah, I'd kind of like to have the moment, if that's okay, LeBron James, sir. And LeBron said, by all means. And so LeBron was the second to last member of the Lakers starting lineup announced. Luka was last. There was a huge roar. And then the game was just, it was a blowout. All good vibes. Lakers up by 34 points at one point. Did not see Mark Williams passing their physical exam. It caused them to rescind the trade. Dalton Connect was back on the Lakers bench yesterday. He didn't look too pleased about it. I reported over the weekend when I reached out to Dalton's agents, they had no comment on the deal being rescinded. So I do believe that is a relationship that's going to need to be repaired. But now the Lakers need to figure out to add some sort of center. They're not going to get someone like Mark Williams with that type of upside or even that type of ability to affect a game in the moment. Just a center like that doesn't exist on the buyout market, but they need to do that. And meanwhile, the Hornets, they're not giving up on this deal. Shams Charania of ESPN reported last night that the Hornets plan, or they are in the process of petitioning the NBA to kind of have a ruling on this trade. And they're going to try to reverse it once again. Because they're not satisfied with the Lakers' explanation of Mark Williams failing the physical.
So they get like an independent doctor, like an independent hospital system to look at this, and then how does one team's interpretation of a medical chart jibe with the league office, right? Like, I don't know how do you rectify something like that? What do you do? Right.
But my understanding, this will be almost like a mock trial that the NBA will put on, and both teams will present their cases. There's not much precedent for this. Back in the late 80s, the Portland Trailblazers and the Cleveland Cavaliers had a similar situation. Ultimately, David Stern was the one with the gavel, and he determined that the Blazers, I should say, they were unsatisfied with the player they received, and David Stern said, who are we to say as a league to go against what their doctor's recommendation is? And so, the precedent would be on the Lakers side to have this rescinded trade stand, but that is the process that the Hornets are currently undergoing, and we'll have Adam Silver in that chair this time rather than David Stern.
Dave McMenamin here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so Luka's introduced as a Laker, and he plays his first game as a Laker, and everybody who comes to the game gets a Luka Doncic Laker keepsake, and LeBron James is calling Luka up to say, how are we going to handle this? We'll handle it how you want to handle it. That's the way that this is getting rolled out in Los Angeles. Meanwhile, in Dallas, Anthony Davis is already hurt, and fans are getting kicked out for bringing signs and T-shirts to the game, and there's protests. It's kind of like the exact opposite in Dallas of the hunky-dory Hollywood stuff going on.
And quite frankly, Rich, there's no end to that story in sight for Dallas. I mean, there's going to be game after game after game, and if they don't have Anthony Davis on the court, and obviously Daniel Gafford went out with a knee tweak the other night. They've been missing Derek Lively. It's going to be tough for them to compete in the Western Conference. So as the losses pile up, it could get even uglier. And then you throw in the fact that they have a game on February 25th against the Lakers in LA, and then a game April 9th in Dallas would be Luka's return game. I mean, those are be the type of events hearkening back to 2010 when LeBron returned to Cleveland with the Miami Heat, and there were things being hurled at the court when he was going through warmups. It's a rough situation. The only way I see the Mavericks being able to get out of it is to win, and to win big. But in the moment, that's obviously going to be difficult with Anthony Davis estimated to miss at least a couple weeks with the abdominal strain that he's dealing with.
And the Fire Nico signs that got people kicked out, that is the Mavericks' prerogative. They can do that sort of thing. The league is going to be copacetic with what's going down in the Metroplex, Dave?
It's a great. Only going to see more and more of Luka Doncic as the season goes on.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Dave, that it was definitely noticed by me, and obviously you and others, that Luka got announced last, and that LeBron was second to last. You're saying that was a LeBron induced floor is yours type moment, Dave?
Absolutely. Yeah. Luka told us that during the day, LeBron reached out to him and said, we're looking forward to the night. It's going to be exciting. We have the starting lineups. How do we want to manage this thing? Whatever you want, we'll do, is what LeBron told Luka. And yeah, Luka told LeBron it'd be cool to have the moment. And he thanked him for acquiescing there, I guess you should say, but made it clear, telling us reporters, okay, that's my one night. It's going back to LeBron from here on out.
That was my follow-up question right there. But you are right. The Lakers just are currently mastering in 40-point first quarters and 70-point halves, it appears to be, Dave. And so last night was an interesting moment for coming together and figuring out how to keep things rolling. Obviously, having a Utah Jazz team that isn't as good as most the rest of the NBA would be helpful. But how does this work moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, Utah's terrible, but the fact that it was Luka's first taste of basketball action since Christmas Day with the brand new teammates, dealing with the transition of a new city, a new life, etc., it was a smashing success for the first few that we got. And what they're going to have to figure out as Luka is off of his minutes restriction, he only played 24 minutes on Monday because of that left calf strain. And Dorian Finney-Smith is still on a minutes restriction. They traded for him more than a month ago from the Brooklyn Nets. Once they have all their players ready to go full bore, JJ Redick is going to have to figure out lineup balances, because there's a ton of offense in that starting unit right now with Rui, LeBron, Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, and Jackson Hayes. But you may want to get some more of a defensive presence in there. And they're going to be looking at either Rui Hachimura or Austin Reeves at some point to play more with the second unit. That might not necessarily be them coming off the bench. They could still start, but they will have a bulk of their minutes in staggered lineups. So you get the ball more in Rui's hand, away from LeBron and Luka. in Austin Sands, I should say. And then Rui, who's more of an offensive-minded player, you can get a defensive-minded player in Dorian Finney-Smith in there, helping to patch up the holes that LeBron and Luka provide on that end.
What happened with Mark Williams?
Okay, so long story short, when the Lakers brought Mark Williams in for a physical, they saw things in their physical examination that caused them so much concern that I was told, quote, we just couldn't live with it. And the way trades work is both teams have to be satisfied that the players that they acquire have passed their physical examination. No two teams' physicals are exactly the same. That's why in the medical world you have people go seek second opinions. Well, all doctors are different. And so the Lakers, by their estimation, fan who was recording with his phone as security approached him, and he repeatedly said that, hey, I haven't violated any of the stipulations or the codes of the arena. What am I being kicked out for? And I watched maybe 2.5 minutes of the 4-minute video. He wasn't provided an explanation. It was, you got to go, sir. Come with us, sir. That can't sustain. That should not be the way things work in pro sports. Paying a ticket should give you the right to voice your displeasure if that is the case. We saw for years Saints fans wearing brown paper bags over their heads because they were so displeased with the product on the field. Should that have been grounds for dismissal? Of course not. So I do think there has to be some latitude for the Mavs fans who are going through it right now and want to express their frustration in a manner that doesn't involve curse words and doesn't involve threats. Booing should be allowed in sports.
Well, I guess it's happening during Mavericks free throws and things like that, to the point where Cuban felt the need to step in and he got verbally, harassed in a way, is a way to put it. And I mean, that Cuban is now getting crap for. I mean, what do you have to do with that? Did you see the video of him with Bill Gates over the weekend, Dave? Did you see that? Did you guys see that too? Where he asked Bill Gates in a one-on-one, he's interviewing Bill Gates, and he asked Bill Gates, what if after you were done with Microsoft, you saw Steve Ballmer cough up, the rights to the Red Hot service on your platform for something a little bit older? What would you have done?
And he actually said, what if you traded Windows 11 for Windows 10? So
right. I should have let you do it. Yeah. Right. But that gives you an insight as to what Cuban is feeling too, right? I mean, it's just crazy what's happening in Dallas.
Cuban was not involved with this trade whatsoever. He's an advisor to the team now, no longer the majority owner. And you best believe that had he had any say in the decision-making process here, he would have voiced the strong opinion that this was a terrible idea in both a basketball sense and a business sense. I think Dirk Nowitzki's presence at Crypto.com Arena last night was as much a show of support for Luka Doncic as distancing himself from the Dallas Mavericks and their decision in this trade in particular. I'm not saying that Dirk isn't a Maverick for life. He has a statue outside the arena. He's the greatest guy ever to put on a Mavericks uniform. At the same time, I viewed that as, yes, I'm supporting Luka, but also, hey, I'm not with you, Mavericks, on this move.
Dave McMenamin here on the Rich Eisen Show. Before I let you go, what's the one deadline stuff that we're not talking about, that we should be talking about? Either a significant trade that's more significant than we're giving it credit for, or something that didn't happen that we should be keeping an eye on the aftermath of, Dave?
I think the one that happened that didn't get as much attention as it deserves, because the player doesn't have as big a name, and we saw some tectonic shift type moves around the league with big names. But DeAndre Hunter going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs have been basically the best team in basketball since opening night through the All-Star break, and they added a 3-and-D wing who filled up kind of a need there. I mean, Karis LeVert was a scorer, or is a scorer, but didn't bring the defensive side of things. You plug him in that position, especially with Isaac Okoro not being totally available this year. You have him around that dynamic backcourt in Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, that tremendous growing front court in Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. Hunter is a perfect fit, and he has the size and the defensive fortitude to go up against those Boston wings in Jalen and Jason Tatum. That's where they're going to need to get through to get to the promised land in the Eastern Conference Finals. So I think that was a tremendous move by Kobe Altman and the Cavs front office, and really set them up to not just be a team that wins 60 games in the regular season and fizzles out. They have a legitimate shot of making the NBA Finals.
Dave, you're the man. Thanks for the time. Greatly appreciate the suit and tie. Congrats on your Eagles, brother. Congrats on your Eagles.
Yes, sir.
And I guess before I let you go with the suit and tie, what if an NBA coach decided to put on a suit and tie again with regularity? Would that rankle the rest of the coaches in the NBA that just love not having to worry about suiting and booting and just putting on stuff like they're going out to walk their dog and that they're on the sideline? Dave, what do you think?
They do have a pretty strong coaches association. They have voted on it several times since it first started in that bubble season.
Right.
Rick Carlisle's the head of the coach association. He is like pretty good at whipping together votes and keeping people together. But I would love to see it. I'm a Syracuse guy. I just saw Jerry the other day coaching for Siena in a jacket and tie. He looked great. I think there's something about a basketball coach looking dapper on the sidelines that it just seems right. So I'd love to see it back in the NBA. The guys make enough money.
I think it would be great. We could load manage the dry cleaning. You know what I mean? We could figure it out. So but no, the dry cleaners aren't overwhelmed. We need to load manage. We can figure this thing out. But thanks for the time, Dave. Greatly appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Rich.
Yeah, that's Dave McMenamin. He's been refonted, diehard Philadelphia Eagles fan, right?